Does Marvel Rivals have a strategist problem? Well, I think it does, but there might be different reasons than you expect. So, let's talk about it. So, if you don't know, let's first talk about what is the strategist, and what do they actually do. The main role of the strategist, a lot of people call healer, is just to keep the team alive, basically, and to help and to support the team in any way possible. That's basically it, and that's basically a short, sentence about it. But why does this role actually have a problem in the game? And they are arguably the most important role on the team. Every single role is important, but I think we can all come to a conclusion that strategists are the most important role because they're responsible for actually keeping the team alive once again, and you can't really win fights without these heals, so that's why they're very, very important as well. So let's talk about the first reason why strategists have a problem in Marvel Rivals. They're just not really fun to play, and there's a huge reason to that, so here's why. I think people would rather be a DPS or a tank going in the front lines or doing the ones with the cool ultimates or just dealing general damage other than actually just healing their team. So this is a huge reason why people don't like playing strategists and why it's a little bit of a problem, but it's not too crazy of a fact because people, know that they're just going to be healing, but some strategists are actually still fun, so it's just a small factor why. I think the game needs more strategists. I know there's, some coming soon, but in the state right now, there's, been DPSs or tanks been added, not really much strategists, so I do think the game does need a little bit more. The second reason why Marvel Rivals has a strategist problem is the meta right now. And if you know what the dive meta is, but if you don't, it's basically a certain amount of characters that dive supports and usually pick off the supports first so they can win the battle and actually win the fight in general. And if you're playing a support, this is really unfun to play and it's very hard. So I could see why people generally don't like it, and when I do play support to fill, I don't like it either. Again, this makes it really hard to deal with certain characters like Spider-Man, Black Panther, and especially as well Magic. It's really hard to deal with these things because supports don't have usually the kit to deal with it. Some do like Invisible Woman to teleport out of there, or not really teleport, but to go invisible. But maybe Luna Snow can, snowball, but if she misses that, it's not going to turn out well for the team, and especially for her. Some do like Invisible Woman so she could get out of there by going invisible, but this doesn't work all the time. So let's talk about the third problem, the community. In the community, a lot of people blame the supports for not healing, but it's really hard to heal. I've already said the reasons why. And it's usually the DPS that create a toxic, community, but people are good and nice, but some are also very toxic. So it's a split about it. Some people, appraise you for your healing, but if you can't heal that much because all these divers, there's DPS or sometimes tanks, but will blame you and say, oh, you're not healing, you're trash, you're this, you're that. And that's why it just creates a toxic environment and people don't want to play the role. And especially if you're playing healers that have certain cooldowns, like maybe Adam Warlock. He can't always heal the team because, well, he has a certain amount of cooldowns for his heal. So what is he supposed to do? He's like a secondary healer. He can't always heal. And if you can't always heal, again, it's hard because the meta. All of this definitely starts a lot of conflict in the Marvel Rivals community, and especially people who play support. So what does this overall toxicity and negativity lead to? This leads to the next problem, the strike. So what is the strike? The strike has been going on about for a good while, and Marvel Rivals has attempted to fix it. So we'll talk about that later. But for now, the strike is basically, it's just supports refusing to play the role. It's just strategists not wanting to play, and that's basically it. So this definitely does cause a lot of problems. A lot of people say Necros, the Spider-Man main, caused this strike. Well, a huge reason for it is because he's a big Marvel Rivals, streamer, but he called supports bad or brain dead. He doesn't really like supports, but these supports keep the team alive. Obviously, Necros wasn't always the full problem of it. There's always, other reasons why, but people do say it was him. And calling supports bad or brain dead, which is very rude, definitely does cause a spark in the community, and people definitely don't want to play support after that or be encouraged at all. So before the patches that came out a few days ago, the support strike was very getting heavy, and it definitely was growing upon the community. So let's get back to what I said earlier. What did Marvel Rivals actually do about the support strike? Let's talk about the buffs. So the buffs. The Marvel Rivals community noticed this strike, so they decided to change the supports a little bit by buffing all damage, or at least from most supports, a little bit, so the supports will have a little bit more survivability during when they're playing. And just general buffs and reworks for certain healers with healing output, like Adam Warlock, he always had a cooldown on his heal, but now if you had headshots with Adam Warlock, you get that cooldown reduced the time and time again you hit more headshots. Very cool. I think it's a good thing for the game. So the purpose of all of this, what Marvel Rivals did, is just for the buffs, basically to stop the support strike. I think it's done a pretty good job. So are these buffs good for the game and all the overall buff the supports? Well, I would say yes and no, so here are my reasons. Yes, because it encourages people to play support, which is great. But no, if the buffs are too powerful, support, the overall role could get out of hand and become way too strong. But overall, as I play the new balance patches, I think it's good. I think Marvel Rivals did a good job on it. But obviously, there'll always be people who don't want to play support, which is just how it is. But I think the problem has resolved a little bit more. My opinion about all this mess and all this problems with the strategist role, I think it's just how it is. People obviously don't want to always play strategists. It happens in other shooter games, like a shooter game called Overwatch I talked about earlier on my channel a bit ago. But that game, a lot of people don't play as much anymore, but I think people might be going back to it. But nonetheless, it happens in that game too, and it will happen in Marvel Rivals. It's just how it happens in this 6v6 shooter game. So, what do you think about the strategist problem in Marvel Rivals? Do you still think people have a problem within the community of playing this role, and it's still, out of hand? Or do you think it's calmed down and it's gotten a lot better over time? Well, anyways, I would love to hear it down below. Anyways, that's about it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you for the great support on my channel. Able to hit 100,000 views across all my videos. It's a huge milestone, and I'm so happy, so thank you all. I'm glad to be back and ready to upload even more, and I'm glad that you guys are here with me to experience this. So I couldn't be in this spot without you all, and I just want to give you all my thanks. So thank you once again. Please consider checking out other videos on my channel, and leaving a sub down below will also be very helpful. So anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya.